Me, Diego, I am still finding myself looking for some shorts when it comes down to the NASDAQ. Now, we find ourselves looking for some shorts over the course of the previous week, right? So basically over here for the coming week. And we can see that we had a nice shift to the upside. And then only this week we saw the nice shift or the nice dip back towards the downside, right? Now, D, what is your bias for this coming week as well, right? I am still favoring some shorts, right? And the exact ideology still remain the same. We are finding ourselves creating a higher high. We need somewhat of a correction to come through. All right, we need somewhat of a correction to find itself coming through based off market structure. Now, on the weekly time frame, right, this candle which found itself closing like this, right, many may say that we have a long week thrown towards the downside. We need, you know what, this is showing us that our bias is finding themselves coming through and we are going to push price back towards the upside, right? And you are not wrong with saying that. Okay, you are not wrong with saying that. But me, Diego, I am still favoring some shorts. Now, this candle over here would basically be a hangman candle in my eyes, right? But since we are finding ourselves being in higher high territory, you know what, we can't look left and be like, hey, we are actually within an area of resistance, which is giving us more confluence that we can see this shift back towards the downside, right? So me, Diego, I am still looking at this candle as somewhat of an actual hangman candle. So what I will find myself doing is the following. Well, like that. Boom. All right. I'm going to box out the high and the low of this candle, right? Just like that. Boom. As ultimately, I don't want to see price go higher than this candle, right? Obviously, we are finding ourselves being in some fake out seasons, so you know what, we can still find ourselves having that shift to the upside. But in overall, I don't want to see price have an actual closure above this candle over here, right? As I am looking at it as a hangman candle, looking at weak structure as well, looking at the highs, we can see that we did find ourselves creating a high, higher high, lower high, which market consists out of lower highs, a bear market, right? Let's look at the lows. We have a low, higher low, lower low, right? Which market consists out of lower lows, a bear market, right? So based off weak structure, I am still considering as, you know what, having somewhat of an actual shift back towards the downside, and this shift to back and the shift back towards the downside will basically be back into the low which we have found ourselves creating right over here. All right, now let's step into our daily time frame. All right, now enable for that to be a nice, you know what, hangman candle on our daily time frame, we need to have somewhat of an impulse and a correction for the next impulsive move back towards the downside. Do we have the correction stuff yet? No, we don't, right? We have somewhat of an actual BOB which found itself coming through over here, making this whole area an area of supply, right? So since this is an area of supply, it is giving me somewhat confluence or confidence to be like, you know what, we can find ourselves seeing somewhat of an actual shift back towards the downside from this area onwards, right? Because ultimately what I was looking at was the following. Check this out. Right, I was like, okay, cool, this is a high, this is a higher high, right? This is a proper correction, so this is the impulse, this is the correction for the next impulsive move back towards the upside, right? But now on the weekly time frame, we are still creating that higher high, and I still do want to see price have somewhat of an initial shift back towards the downside, right? So I need to see my daily time frame change market structure from a bull market back into a bear market, right? And since we did find ourselves creating this area of supply over here, I am confident that we can potentially hold this area to change market structure from a bull market back into a bear market for the shift back towards the downside. Ultimately, we're into back into these lows right over here. All right, so what I will find myself doing is just box out this area just like that. Boom, and just mark it as my area of supply as well, right? Let's do this. I don't know why that always takes so long, but nonetheless, this is my area of supply right? We do have an inversion fair value gap over here as well, to where we can potentially find ourselves coming back into, right? Maybe if I can just box it out for you guys and just tell you why. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit and just box it out properly, just like that. Boom, right? So we can basically see that we had a closure below and we never came back into this area, right, for somewhat of an actual retest. I'm gonna just box it up with another color, just like that, right? This candle found itself still closing within, this candle found itself closing outside, right? So there is still that possibility for us having that shift to the upside, then having that actual dip back towards downside, because that is ultimately what I am favoring, right? Some shorts to find itself still coming through, right? And this whole area will basically be my playground area, right? Because ultimately where I want to see price go is all the way back down, back into these lows right over here, right? Scaling to our H4 time frame, let's see what is up, let's see what is happening over here. So on my H4 time frame, right, we did find ourselves creating the gap. We did find ourselves closing below. We came back into the gap right over there. We had a shift back to the downside, right? Now, what I will find myself doing is the following, right? I'm going to remove this area of supply, as we do know that that's an area of supply, right? And this area over here is my inversion fair value gap, right, on the daily time frame. However, I'm going to find myself doing the following. Box out this area, okay? This whole area over here. I'm gonna box out this whole area, as this is also serving as an actual BOB. We have a BOB over here with these two up close candles, as well as this one down close candle, right? We did find ourselves having a shift back to the downside. We never came back for the retest once again, right? So I am looking at us as having somewhat of an actual shift back to the upside, and then from this area I will find myself looking for some beautiful shorts, somewhat of rejection to find itself happening, to be, you know what, to be looking for that shorts all the way back down, back into this region right over here, right? Now obviously, you know what, it's not going to be a full-on swing. Let's see, that is 600 odd pips back towards the downside, right? But I am finding myself looking at these areas over here as well, right? That area over here, it's serving as an area of demand, so that will be like a first target. This area of demand as well, right? This area right there serving as an area of demand, this area serving as a BOBs, right? So those will be target 1, target 2, target 3, right? And then ultimately target 4 would be these lows over here. As look at this, if you're gonna look left, we also do have somewhat of a relatively equal lows coming through over here as well, right? Basically just giving us more confluence, equal lows, bang, just like that, right? Basically just giving us more confluence that there is a possibility for us coming all the way back down, back into these lows we have found ourselves forming right over here. All right, now if we are going to find ourselves just remaining bullish in structure, right, and just finding ourselves having a closure above, right, obviously then this area will serve as an actual area of demand, right? And then we can just see a further pushback towards the upside when it comes down to the NASDAQ, and that is a possibility that can find itself coming through as well. However, just know that, you know what, on this platform I'm just sharing my bias, right, my thought processes whatsoever when it comes down to the market itself. You don't have to find yourself following what I am doing, right? But you can also find yourself just spectating as well, right? And see, hey, what I have been doing, is it working for you or not, right? You can find yourself going into our previous content as well, come back to the charts and monitor what we have found ourselves doing, right? Is it working out? Is it not working out whatsoever? And you make your judgment of based on that, right? So my bias for this coming week will basically be some shorts to open up as well, right? And in the comment section, let me know what is your thought process. Are you bullish? Are you bearish when it comes down to the NASDAQ? I'm curious to know. It's me, your boy D. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. I'm out.